Well then, Hyoh has finally arrived and not a part of the global festival, oddly enough. But being a regular unit means that people who skip him now would be able to pick him up later, if they are lucky while pulling for something else. But like I've said before, building up a unit is not easy at all in this game, especially when you get randomly off banner after all their challenge board shards and other shards are gone. But we can finally see his full kit, so even casual weenies like me can get some kind of idea about this dude now. At least from a first impressions point of view. Well then, let's go and take a look at what he brings to the table. Starting with his TMR, not a big fan of this. I understand the value here if there are too many fire or ice teams running around. I can see this coming in pretty handy, especially because this is a group buff and good for guild battles as it can be used twice. But I prefer abilities which are generally useful rather than being so niche. The stats on the TMR aren't really anything to write home about either, and it takes up an armor slot which just makes it worse for me. The master ability also leans into increasing resistance against fire and ice. I don't really get it. Is this some kind of lore reference? I'm assuming it is. Does Hyoh hate summer as well as winter, or is he some kind of global warming activist who ironically also enjoys watching the glaciers melt? I don't know what this is about. And I don't think fire teams would have had too much trouble dealing with ice teams already, but this guy is here to seal the deal or something like that. As far as the dream ability is concerned, the slash attack is pretty basic and we'll take a look at the upgraded skill in a moment, but I do really like the AoE resistance. And the boy has some decent resistances when it comes to attacking types too, so that is pretty good. Looking at his support abilities, the one which really jumps out is the Merciless Heart. A chunky bit of slash resistance penetration and attack increase with a bit of AoE resistance. The Divine Protection also gives more AoE resistance, so this dude could stack that quite a bit. And that will help with the potential Bruiser side of his game. He could also go heavy on the offense with a couple of other options that he has here, like Abandoned Bonds or Deadly Mastery. But especially with the Knight lore, I'm pretty sure this boy can easily get 100 slash resistance penetration pretty easily. And that would go really well if we can see a bit of defense penetration too. The counters don't really light my heart on fire, but whatever, moving on. Let's take a look at his main job now. He does have access to courage, which comes along with a couple of other half-decent things like increased slash attack and accuracy. But they only stick around while the courage is active, so do keep that in mind. And this can be cast twice, so making it good for guild battles. The Beast's Roar seems like the other buff which he really wants to put on. And we finally get a bit of defense penetration alongside a chunky bit of more attack. This boy will hit hard, that much I am pretty sure is clear. He also gets a new counter ability from this. The Firm Resolve has a whopping 50% chance to activate, although that can be mitigated by reaction block. He can heal himself for a decent amount of health, which is pretty good to be honest. The Burning Dive has a huge AoE, can make sure he does not see others activate their counters, and reduces defense and healing power. With all of his offensive potential, that defense decrease could mean curtains for a lot of units when Hyoh hits them again. I can imagine this being especially brutal on smaller maps. The Unknown Trader, this is the one which gets upgraded from the Dream ability. Kind of a short range, but it can dispel re-raise and can hit up to 2 targets. He can also get a bit of AP back if he knocks somebody out with this. Not incredible, but not too shabby either. His own sub-job brings 2 new skills. They both look okay, nothing too crazy. Languishing Plume gives him another AoE attack, but I think he would rather go with the Burning Dive instead. The Vacuum Slash is the only guaranteed hit attack that he has access to. Pretty short range, but it's not like he has much of a choice here. The rest of the Lancer sub-job is pretty mediocre to be honest. And the only thing I like in the Knight sub-job is Divine Healing, as it improves his own healing power, which means his Firm Resolve counter would be more effective. But I don't know when he'll get the chance to utilize this to be honest. All in all, the sub-jobs aren't too hot. The Limit Break, we already knew what it did for the most part. It also increases his slash resistance penetration further, which again means he can easily hit over 100 slash resistance penetration after this. A nice area of effect too, things look pretty good. Now for his main weapon, the UltimaBringer. Definitely a very cool name if nothing else. This cool lightsaber brings some initial AP, some slash attack and Ice Killer. Alright, this boy right here, he really wants to melt them glaciers I tell ya. But alright, cool, just don't buy the one in the shop kindly. So Hyoh definitely brings a whole bunch of positive stuff to the table. He has a ridiculous amount of slash resistance penetration and he can have quite a bit of defense penetration as well. Let's see how the math will work out. His buff gives him 40 as a start. You would want to have the Dark Ifrit card around ideally, which will give him an extra 25, and you can add an extra 10 from Trust Stones. 75 defense pen is nothing to scoff at. The coolest thing in my opinion though is the potential he has for stacking AoE resistance. He gets 10 from the Dream ability, Merciless Heart gives him 15, and the Divine Protection gives him another 12. That is already 37 AoE resistance, all on his own. He can equip the Brigandine, which adds another 10. Dark Ifrit unit bestowed effects can add another 10. And if you have a Vision card which can provide a bit more of it, like the Silver Memories Job card which does work on Greatsword users, then that can mean another 20. That is a whopping 77 AoE resistance. That is pretty nuts. All that is well and good, definitely a unit who can hit like a desperate hobo looking for dinner and won't be destroyed if he gets caught on a random AoE attack. He will pretty much 1v3 most ice teams, as I'm pretty sure he can get 100 ice resistance when we factor in Vision cards and Espers and along with his own stuff. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, it rarely ever is. The lack of any barriers is noticeable. Although he is very capable when it comes to handling AoE attacks, any single target attacks will do a number on him, especially if it can remove his courage. The counter heal can't really be relied on to keep him going with all the reaction block going on everywhere. His accuracy is also something to be concerned about. He only has one guaranteed hit attack, and that is off of his Lancer sub-job, which really isn't ideal. But generally speaking, Hyoh is pretty good for what he brings to the table. Is he worth a 42k pity potentially? Not for me, but I can understand if you think that's worth it. I don't think he will be run in evasion teams, but what he does is offer the fire element something different to build with besides evasion. You definitely want to have a tank to run with him, which would probably be King Mont. Saro fits in pretty well for the moment, as he does get the benefit from his Vision card, which we will talk about in a moment. We also have a couple of other fire units coming down the line. They won't fit in with evasion either, but they might be able to work better alongside Hyoh. Now let's quickly take a look at his Vision card. It offers a whopping 18% agility on the party effect. That is the most agility I have ever seen. How in the monkey did that happen? The other effects are pretty cool too. Hyoh gets a couple of unique buffs in more AP generation and accuracy. Darkfina and Rain get a hot diggity 40% magic increase. Very cool. In terms of who can use this card, Saro and King Mon can both get the benefits from it, so there you have a pretty straightforward team. But you can also go a little weird if you want to. Joom can use it, so you could have a bait team in guild battles with Joom at the front. You can try to bait ice teams who Hyoh will then destroy. But other than the obvious fire connection, the other combinations will have to be worked on. But definitely a worthwhile card. I'm pretty sure I'll pick it up myself during the next live stream, probably on Saturday or Sunday. Well, there you have it. Hyoh definitely looks like he can do some very neat things. I don't think he will be dead weight if you utilize him well. But he isn't particularly game breaking or anything like that. Just a solid overall unit. He can punch a pretty big hole in the wall like a desperate hobo looking for dinner. And for me, maybe Hyoh is a desperate hobo. But what do you all think? Did I miss something important? Do you guys have some cool ideas for teams featuring Hyoh? Do you also think he will hit like a desperate hobo? Do let me know in the comments. Well, I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.